I guess that's it. That was an interesting game, to say the least. I think... Oh, man. Let me see if I can get this ending right. It seems like the icebreaker got to its destination safely because we went through the ship and basically erased everyone's deaths. We, and especially at the end there, when we sort of, I guess, broke through the iceberg because instead of basically helping the ship, we instead helped the captain, and through some romanticized thing of emotion and love, that got us through the iceberg instead of actually helping with the ship. Or maybe the guy we're controlling was actually doing something wrong there with regards to controlling the ship. But I guess regardless, the point was that through all of our actions in the game and helping all the people on the ship, Kronos, who is, for those of you who don't know, the god of time, or excuse me, the Titan of time, the Greek, is he Greek? Is he Greek or Roman? I think he's Greek. The Greek Titan of time sent us back to before all this bad stuff happened, and sort of let us rewrite stuff so that people actually didn't end up dying, I suppose, in the long run. And it seems to me like the farther throughout the game we got, the less sort of humanoid enemies we got. We started running into more of the weirder ones, like with the locks on their heads, and the big daddies, of course, and the Frost Pyro, can't forget him. But like, compare that to the beginning of the game where we're only running into humanoid people with the axes and the fists and all that stuff. It seems to me like the farther along we got and the more people we started to save, the less opportunities those people had to turn into and frozen, which is why we stopped seeing them. So we could definitely see, already at that point, an effect on our progress and you know, a point to what we were doing, I suppose. So that's how I'm going to interpret this ending. Kind of happy ending. We go on an icebreaker, which already is pretty miserable because it's an icebreaker and during the Arctic. But I guess all's well that ends well in ice. I don't know. But let's see. I guess I could do my little review of this game too. So overall, I thought this game was pretty good. I've seen a lot of ratings on it. Usually gets about C-, 70 points out of 100 from the reviews I've seen. And to that, I'd say I'd probably give it a few points more than that. It definitely wasn't the best game. There's still some aspects of the story that I'm unclear on, like why the Unfrozen got infected in the first place. That still, to me, is not incredibly clear. I know it's trying to draw the parallel with the story of the villagers, or the wanderers, excuse me, in the forest, and sort of the swamp thugs turning them into just paranoid freaks. And I could understand there was paranoia on the crew here because obviously they crashed and they're thinking that they're going to die, but like, in a realistic sense, that wouldn't turn them into Unfrozen, right? Obviously it wouldn't bring about teleporting big daddies on its own. There has to be something else that affected that. I don't know if that giant heart was maybe like inside the iceberg that they crash into. Maybe that's what the problem was, but there's some things here that I'm not totally understanding, and that I'll have to go back through later. But of course, this is just my first playthrough. I think there's more than one ending, judging by sort of the refracted light images at the in the final like temple area there that we were just in. There were 3 areas, and we only were able to sort of interact with one of them. One of them was visible to us. So I would imagine you have to play this game through maybe 3 times to get all the endings. I mean, maybe you have an ending from each person's perspective. Maybe the next ending is going to be from the guy with the sneaky mustache, and the final one's going to be from the captain. Maybe, I don't know. Honestly, I'm not going to go through and play this game again because while it was decent, it wasn't that good. It does claim to be a horror game. I did not feel scared past the first. I mean, even before the first 2 hours, I wasn't scared, but I was still a little edgy. But after those first 2 hours, it just kind of died for me. Like the Frost Pyro, first time, alright, that creeped me out. But the second time, I was like, alright, let's just get this over with. He's pretty weird, but you know, we can handle that. But honestly, this game was pretty light on the scares. They were just constant jump scare after jump scare, which you know, after the first 2 times, it's like, okay, I know it's coming. That's not scary at all. I'm not even jumping. I didn't jump to start with, and now I'm jumping even less, which doesn't even make sense. But you kind of get the point that I'm going for here, right? It's just they're making it less scary and less scary as time goes on. They're trying to introduce new elements like the Silent Hill Skyrim and the Big Daddies teleporting in and some of the neat little features, but it never really got me even anxious, if I'm completely honest. I mean, there were a few points here and there, but as a whole, I wasn't afraid to play this game, you know, blinds closed, lights off. It's not something that like where Amnesia, I'm excited to play it, but it's just you feel your heart pumping when you load up that EXE. You know, for this, it's just like, yeah, all right, let's go record some stuff in the Arctic. You know, it's isolated, it's alone, it's kind of depressing, but it's not scary per se. It's not scary. So that kind of let me down. I was sort of hoping for something a little bit more tense, a little bit more scary, but what can you do? The atmosphere was all right. The story was a little slow for my taste. I know, like I said before, this is in the Arctic. There's ice everywhere. It's cold. It's supposed to be a slow progression because that's sort of the environment you're in that reflects the story. But at the same time, there has to be some sort of exposition, and it just happened very, very slowly. And even at that point, they just throw in some metaphysical bullshit and just kind of like, hey, go figure it out. Which I'm all for sometimes, but they just didn't give you much to work with in this one, in my opinion. As for the gameplay, I did like the heat idea. It's kind of strange that bullet wounds get healed by heat, but I won't complain about that. As far as the gun mechanics went, I mean, pretty realistic, I suppose. Kind of annoying at times, especially with that second frost pyro. That got pretty annoying. But you know, they're there. You got the bullet spread. They're going not exactly where you aim it, because that's just how guns are in real life. You got heavy guns, you got long reloads, sort of scarce ammo, I suppose. Not that scarce, but obviously it wasn't plentiful. So it was okay, I guess. I kind of recommend that you guys play this if you have some free time on your hands, but I'd easily recommend some other games out there before this one. I mean, obviously Amnesia, that's hands down my favorite horror game that I've ever played. But besides that, Silent Hills 1 through 3. People didn't like Homecoming. I thought it was okay. It's kind of scary. What other stuff? System Shock 2 had its scary moments. I mean, it's pretty old, but if you can let yourself be in that mood, it's pretty scary. But as for this game, I'd say it's more of an action mystery than a horror game, if I'm completely honest. Which is sad, because it did have promise when I was going into it, and I was excited to get into it and see, you know, what was going to happen. But it didn't really turn into anything for me. Apparently there in the credits you can see they're referencing the short story that they used, which I'm imagining is about Danko, whatever. This is from Maxim Gorky's short story, Old Woman, Easergill, however you pronounce that. But I guess they're actually wrapping up the credits now, which is good because I'm actually wrapping up my commentary, because I'm running out, well, I'm not running out of stuff to say. I had stuff to say and now I don't really. Well, I do actually. I'm going to talk about next playthrough and see what you guys think of the idea, because I haven't started it yet. Basically, I was thinking of recording Brutal Legends, which just came to Steam. This is being recorded on the 22nd, I believe, of February. It's probably not going to go up until the 25th or so, 26th maybe. Brutal Legend doesn't release on Steam until the 28th. I already pre-ordered it, of course, but obviously I haven't recorded it yet. So I want to see how you guys feel about that. It was a game that was on the Xbox first, but now it's on the PC. I've never played it before. I have seen a full playthrough of it. So I do know everything that happens in the story. But I'll probably go through and do all the extras myself, because I like doing extras and collectibles and all that. But I want to see how you guys feel about me doing Brutal Legend, because I thought it was a pretty funny game. Fun, interesting idea. Different, unique, interesting, entertaining, good music, really good music. Ooh, although the music might get me a copyright strike. I'll have to see what I can do about that, actually. I'm sure I can work around that. Being a machinima partner. All fancy and stuff. Anyway, what's this? As long as the dark foundation of our nature Grim in its all-encompassing egoism, mad in its drive to make that egoism into reality, to devour everything and to define everything by itself, as long as that foundation is visible. As long as this truly original sin exists within us, we have no business here, and there is no logical answer to our existence. Imagine a group of people who are all blind, deaf, and slightly demented, and suddenly, someone in the crowd asks, "What are we to do?" The only possible answer is look for a cure. Until you are cured, there is nothing you can do. And since you don't believe you are sick, there can be no cure. So says Vladimir Solovyov. I suppose that's how you pronounce that. But that's it. Apparently you can escape right out of there. Did not realize that. But that's it, you guys. So leave feedback for future Brutal Legend LP. I think it's a pretty good idea, but I'll let you guys decide that. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. Like I said, it wasn't the best game, but it was still pretty fun to play through. It was entertaining. And that should do it. So thank you all for watching, spending the time to, watch these videos. If you could also leave a like or a subscription or a comment, any of those things would be fantastic. I definitely need some help with my channel growth as of late, because it's really slowed down. So anything you guys could do to help with that, since I actually do put a lot of time into this stuff, that would be greatly appreciated. But if you don't want to do that, it's fine. I hope you at least enjoyed some part of this playthrough or any of my videos. And yeah, so that should do it. You guys have a fantastic day. Stay warm. Don't go to the Arctic. Don't go on icebreakers. And that'll be my farewell. So see you guys in Brutal Legend.